Hi, it's Leah Busby at Blackfish here. I just wanted to give you an update of how it works when you're doing a construction of a new house, what the builder are looking at and the process, because the valuation is a really critical part of the process, and once it's done it can't be changed. So I just thought I'd give you some explanation of how the banks generally do it. Obviously every now and then there's some anomalies and policy and guidelines change, but in summary, what we need is a fixed price building contract from your builder. So whether you're dealing with a big builder or a small little local builder, the bank need a fixed price building contract. They're all used to that. If they tell you they can't do it, tell them you have to have it, otherwise you can't get finance. And the reason that's important is that you've completely agreed to how much it's going to cost to build that exact house. So they can't throw any curveballs at you. In that process, it does mean that you might have some variations to contract. So you sign a contract with the builder and then you say, I want these 5 things done. And then you might have variation number 1 for $2,000 and it's, putting in an extra window, and you negotiate all of these things at the beginning. So then you have to do your selections. So that means you need to actually lock in your builder to do your selections. So your tiles and your paint and all of that sort of stuff. And again, the reason that's important is we need it all included in our numbers for 2 reasons. 1, we need to prove what this house is going to be like when it's finished. So the bank want to know exactly what you're building because they're going to be paying for it. So, and the security and the risk is on them to build this house that they think they're going to lend money against. So you just compare it to buying a house in the market. If the bank went out at an established house right now, they can value it and go, yep, that is worth, 500,000. Whereas for yours, we have to prove how much it's going to be worth. And we want to make it as good as possible to make sure we're getting at least the land and the build costs, and if not more, if we're trying to avoid mortgage insurance and a few different things. So the valuation and the way that the banks look at the valuation is they'll always take the lower of the valuation or the land plus build costs because they're risk adverse. So we need to make sure that when we send them through our pack to say this is what house we're building, we've got it exactly what we're building with as much detail. If anything's missing, it could devalue the property and it can cause a delay. Now, so the best way and the best practice, we've been doing it a long time. It is a very cumbersome, long process. I know it's really stressful doing selections and everything, and it can be quite overwhelming, but this is the way to get the best results. You get the fixed price building contract from builder. You confirm that there's no other changes. They've done all your engineering reports. They've done everything possible, and they've finalised a fixed price building contract with you. And you can say to them, we can have no variations from this point on. You do your selections, so you do all your selections, and if you choose to upgrade something or whatnot, you know exactly how much it's going to cost. You then have to make sure the house is going to be complete. So if the bank had to sell your house, and you look at it from the bank's perspective, if they had to sell your house, is it finished and could they sell it? Because they are always looking at how are we going to get our money back if something goes wrong. So a big thing is a lot of clients for some reason take the rainwater tank out of their build contract. You have to have a rainwater, it's a compliance issue. So we would need from you a supply and install invoice for a rainwater tank. And that goes for everything that's not included in the build pack. So the bank want to see a quote for fencing, they want to see quotes for driveways, flooring, window furnishings, landscaping, everything to make that house complete. Now, you might say, I want to pay cash for some of those things, but what can happen sometimes, if we don't include them, the bank would say, or the valuer would say, I've been to this site, I've got all of these included from the broker, and we can see what they're building and we've put a price on it, but there was landscaping and a driveway missing, so we've allocated $20,000. We've reduced the valuation by $20,000. And what that actually means is the bank might come back and say, you have to show me you've got $20,000 to complete that build. So there's always a reason why we need it. But I think the most important thing to remember is it needs to be exact, because I'll get everything from you, we package it up, we add it all up. So we say, right, the build plus the variations plus the quotes, this is how much money we're going for. We would then order a total on completion valuation. So we package that up, we give it to a valuation company, they go to site and they come back with a valuation report. They'll put comments in there that could be about the property or the site or the finishings or the per square meterage. We then check it, make sure there's no major anomalies. Then you and I will talk about the final figures. We get that valuation back, then we know exactly what we can lend against. We'll finalise the figures and then we go to the bank and we give the bank the valuation report for them to do the assessment on it. They can come back at that stage and say we still need, we noticed that a rainwater tank is missing as an example. You can tell we have a lot of problems with rainwater tanks. And they might ask for further information. So don't forget, we're not building consultants, we're home loan experts. So we don't go through your build contract the way that you are going through it with your builder, because we're not privy to those conversations. We're not project builders. There are project companies out there that manage this sort of thing and pay you a fee to do all this sort of stuff for you. But don't forget, we are not managing a project. We are helping you get finance. So I think that's a big thing sometimes that some clients want some advice on their build contract. That's not our expertise and it's not what we do. And we don't know what you do and don't want included for different information. So I know this is a big information, but this is a really important step because we're building your house. We want it finished. We want the best results from the bank. We want the best results to make sure there's no greyness for you, that when the builder comes in, they can't suddenly say, oh, do you know what? Something went wrong. It's going to cost you another $5,000. Because as soon as we've done that valuation report and as soon as the bank have approved it, nothing can change. We can't swap floorboards for carpets. We are going to pay those invoices as done. Any questions regarding that, do come to us, but the banks are pretty firm in standing firm of what they're going to do. Any cash that is required for you, we'll have to put in up front. So even if you and I have allowed that you are going to do the landscaping yourself and it was a $4,000 lawn quote, the bank will take that from you to make sure it's going to get done. You would have to get that work done and then they'll reimburse you. So that happens for the entire way through. So, you know, if you got a pool quote for now and the pool quote was, you know, $45,000, but once it actually came to site, you know, in a couple of months' time and you got it, you saved $2,000 as an example. The bank will still pay the invoice to the pool company. Any extra money though, they keep it in your loan until the end, until the whole project is finished. They don't release extra bits of money because they want to keep as much money as possible to make sure you don't go over budget. And that includes, imagine we save $2,000 here, but you spent $2,000 here. They won't just transfer it. They'll say, right, we're going to hold that $2,000, but you have to pay that extra $2,000 now. So it is a bit of money turning around sometimes, but it just shows they are inflexible. Long gone are the days when the bank go, yeah, cool, here's $300,000, go build a house. They want to know exactly what you're building, why you're building it, and how you're going. Every single scenario is different. You know, some of our clients have huge deposits, some of our clients have minimal deposits, and there is a slight variation on that depending on how much cash clients have got. So, and it also depends on equity. So if a client already has, you know, $100,000 or $200,000 worth of equity, that's going to be a little bit smoother because it's a little bit lower risk for the bank. But in general, they need all of this done. They will never say to any clients, here's $200,000, here's $300,000, here's $800,000, go build your house. They want to know exactly what you're using the money for and how it's getting built. Once we get going, we would get it all approved, sign the loan contracts. The builder will then invoice you at each stage. You sign off on that, send it to the bank, and they release the money to the builder. So your loan slowly goes up in stages, and I'll explain that to you in more detail. I just want to explain the importance of this first step, which is getting all the quotes and valuations finalised, making sure that we haven't missed anything. So don't forget, you know, whilst we save everything as we get it, we just don't know if, you know, a rainwater tank hasn't come through or whatever. So we'd rather be really slow in this step, make sure it makes sense, make sure we haven't missed anything, make sure you understand that the house needs to be complete. Then we will send it to the bank for their review. Any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we look forward to helping you. Have an awesome day.